Coming up on February 22nd at the Kingdom Arena at Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Artur Beterbiev will be facing Dmitry Bivol in a highly anticipated, undisputed light heavyweight championship rematch. Currently, Dmitry Bivol has a record of 23 wins, 1 loss, and 0 draws. His age is 34 years old. His height is 6 foot, no extra inches, just 6 foot exactly. And his reach is 72 inches, which is also 6 foot. On the other hand, there is Artur Beterbiev, who has a record of 20 wins, no losses, no draws. He is currently 40 years old with a height of 5'11" and a half, with a 73-inch reach. Now, and a 1-inch reach difference does not make much of a difference in a fight. So overall, Beterbiev doesn't really have any physical attributes over Bivol in this fight. And so I believe Beterbiev and Bivol are pretty equivalent in their standards. And this physical attributes didn't play too much of a part in the last fight. And a lot of people understand what happened in the last fight. It was very close, high IQ, high intelligence boxing affair between two top-level guys. And so this is both a fun, entertaining, and highly masterful boxing fight which will take place, and one that obviously deserves a rematch. There is a plethora of individuals who believed Bivol had actually won the last fight, and there are some who believed that Beterbiev won the fight. In compromise to those notions, many believe that it should have been a draw. And so now it comes to the second fight, which everyone's hoping for, to see a clear best light heavyweight of the world. Personally, I believed Beterbiev had just nicked the last fight, and I did agree with a majority decision scorecard. I had the fight 115-113 Beterbiev, and I think he gave a pretty good account of himself considering he was 39 and considering that he never really got greedy within the fight. Bivol had made more obvious mistakes in the fight, where there was a point where he got overzealous with his combinations in which Beterbiev returned fire and hurt Dmitry Bivol. Now, these larger mistakes that Bivol made, I believe, are what really cost him the fight. And although Beterbiev and Bivol were both making their own sets of mistakes, many of Beterbiev's mistakes weren't as obvious as Bivol's. There were moments in there where Bivol was over-committing to punches and exerting too much energy in various combinations and then being caught by Beterbiev very obviously. And so there's a lot of very obvious mistakes that Bivol fixes, and I believe, based on the caliber of Bivol, that he'll definitely fix these mistakes. But that is not to say Beterbiev himself won't fix mistakes, as Beterbiev is just as, if not a higher level fighter than Bivol himself. And so there will be many adjustments that Beterbiev will make. He'll probably go for the knockout. He'll probably condition himself better to throw maybe even more punches in this fight. He'll work on his precision, especially as in the last fight, he had trouble breaking Bivol's defense. And I think one thing Beterbiev has to work on is trying to work his way around that defense, maybe by throwing less punches and with more precision. Now, Beterbiev's style is to throw a high volume of power punches, but he really needs to work on the precision of those punches more often with Bivol's high guard and very tight guard. Now, I believe this fight is much more difficult to predict for the rematch, and I believe it's actually much closer in certain... On paper, this fight is much closer in the rematch, considering both fighters are going to make the proper adjustments, I believe, and this affair may be even more technical than the first. But I believe that in this fight, Bivol will find something to just... Bivol may find something in this fight. Now, that is not to say Beterbiev won't. However, considering that Beterbiev is 40, and although he hasn't shown much throats of decline, I think Bivol will actually want this fight a little bit more than Beterbiev. And I think Bivol will be slightly more motivated to win this time around, considering he is the one coming off the loss. And that is not to say Beterbiev will be motivated to once again defeat an old foe, and to say that considering Beterbiev has more of the confidence to beat Bivol, that he'll win this fight. But I don't think Beterbiev has necessarily figured out Dmitry Bivol in any sense. And Bivol is definitely going to put up a much harder fight, just as Beterbiev will. I do not necessarily think Bivol is less confident either. Bivol showed that he takes a loss very, very well. He is one of the fighters which I believe, have taken a loss much better than most. He was very humble in defeat. He knew what he got wrong, and he actually believed himself that there was a chance he lost. And so Bivol is going into this matchup understanding what he needs to do better. What I question is, does Beterbiev know what he needs to do better? As much as I believe Beterbiev is a fighter who will greatly adjust, especially in this case because he didn't get the knockout, I have a feeling that because Beterbiev didn't get the knockout this time around, he'll actually be more reluctant and more reckless in this fight, just slightly more if this plays into a factor. Based on Beterbiev's style, I don't know if he's necessarily going to box smarter in this fight, as his style is a high volume of punches, where in the last fight, seemingly he didn't land as much as Bivol. So, considering these circumstances, these very close circumstances, my official prediction makes Dmitry Bivol the favorite for this fight. I think Bivol will win this fight by a decision. A very close decision, but I think Bivol will rise to the occasion and make enough necessary adjustments to overcome Artur Beterbiev. This is Zachary Cloutier at ringside.